Captain's Log Supplemental.
So, Miss Vicki.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when we were watching those WRL events and some of those grid life events where you used to see the in-car video and it had like the cameras seeing front and back, but it also could see all the telemetry and everything that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the ones that we liked were taken by the Sentinel system. Remember James came on our podcast earlier?
Right.
You know, we have no excuse since he lent us one for trial and demonstration purposes. We should actually probably put that in one of our cars. Maybe two.
I really think we should.
I think we should.
I know.
Because then we'd look like the immature endurance racing team that we are. Oh, wait, I mispronounced that, didn't I? Sorry, my bad. We could
So what does the Sentinel system do?
We could have 3 cameras with picture-in-picture. We could have, if we ever get the AIM system to work, open invitation to anybody from AIM to come on and give us a little bit of love. We need some help. And then we could have all our telemetry on there. And then we can have it streamed live into the paddock or around the world to our millions of fans. We're apparently very popular in Kenya right now. Don't know why, but that's fine. And it can integrate all the available race statistics from like Race Hero and everything. So we could actually see how we're doing on video. We wouldn't even have to carry around our phone anymore. Live.
I love it.
From the great halls of their house, there are assembled 3 who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team. Dominating with Dawson.
Well, let's dominate.
Ben Dawson. I need me some Ben Dawson.
Happy birthday, Bill. What's up?
It is happy birthday, and Miss Vicky's here.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey.
Before we get to our first Dominating Dawson question, have both of you been made aware that they're remaking Smokey and the Bandit?
I have not been made aware of that. I'm into it.
Yeah, could be. I just want to know what car are they going to use? That's what I want to know.
Was it just announced, or do they have a lineup yet?
A few weeks ago.
I have not heard about that. That's awesome. I wonder if they go vintage, or if they go vintage retro look, or if they go something totally cool and badass that's modern. I would love to see something badass and cool that's modern, like
I don't know what it would be though. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Supra. Something cool as shit like a Supra, or I don't know. I mean, I guess who knows? I'm not saying it's got to be an American car. I mean, I guess Mustang would be cool. Who knows what kind of brand stuff would be tied into it? I'm sure it'll be tied to a manufacturer. I'm sure.
We all know it's going to be who pays the biggest check.
That's right. But yeah, I could think of several modern cars that would be pretty cool for it. I mean, are they still making Camaros, or are they about to phase them out?
Camaros are done again.
Yeah, so it's probably not going to be that.
Not going to be that. Not going to be a Firebird. I would love it if this was the rebrand announcement for Firebird and Pontiac. That would be fantastic.
Are you a big Pontiac fan?
I am. I like Pontiacs. My first car was a Firebird.
Gotcha.
That's pretty cool. Thunderbird. But anyway, all right, Mr. Dawson.
All right.
Let's do something. I have so many to choose from now.
Good.
Let's see. I was going to do one on burnout, but since you never get to go to the track, you can't get burnt out, so you're not going to be of any use whatsoever.
Yeah.
Wish you were. I mean, not that I wish you were burnt out, but I wish you was enough to go.
Yeah, I wish I was at any sort of risk of track burnout. I probably didn't even get to go at all this year, so this is my version of fun at the track.
We may drag you kicking and screaming. We've got a plan coming. So
okay.
All right. Ben Dawson. we have a couple listeners. One of them has his own podcast, and he's on the left coast there, and
Great.
he has been fighting, kicking, and screaming among other people that we talk to. And the common refrain is, why should I upgrade to racing pads when they're wear parts? And what purpose is that? They're just going to wear out anyway, and they cost so much more.
Wow. I've been in this situation my own dang self. Not so much me, like as soon as I started doing DEs and understood that I could be a lot faster with, race pads that would give me the best bite and, reduce my stopping distance and be able to help me compress my brake zones. I was immediately like, I'm going to go to the fastest, grippiest. At the time, like Carbotechs were huge where I was. I don't know that they're that big. They kind of evolved into G-Lock pads. But back in the day when I was doing, even track days before racing, I pretty much went straight to the best brake pads I could find. Just because to me, yeah, they are a wear part. So are tires. I also ran, ran R comps before I needed to ever, I used to run in R comps before I ever bought a set of 200 tread wear tires. Well, I guess that's not exactly true. I had a set of Falcons first, and I kind of went to running R comps just for track days because I wanted to be on the same kind of tires that the racers were going to be. I assumed that I was headed towards Spec Miata, so I would buy the same tires that they were running just so I'd be familiar with it and running the same kind of brakes they were. I mean, in my mind, my track day car was eventually going to be a Spec Miata, and I was always headed that direction. So I wanted everything to be pretty similar to what those guys were experiencing, just so I could kind of eventually join that field and sort of be on pace. So that was my mindset. Was always like I wanted to be running the racy. So I also probably had a more racerish view of everything about a car or a vehicle because I'd come from go-kart racing where every single thing on a go-kart is a wear item, from the chassis itself,
Everything,
all the way to you wear it, like everything was constantly being worn out and replaced in that kind of racing, like circle track racing or
including you.
Yeah, I beat myself to death in that thing.
Yeah, right.
So I came into the world of full size car tracking and racing with the view that everything on the vehicle is a wear item, and it's all you just want the best of everything that you can possibly afford and to deal with. So I don't get that exactly, but I'll tell you this: when I was over on the West Coast, starting with most of the endurance racing I started doing was with Ian Corf and his brother. And they were of a mind where they were like, yeah, similar kind of thought, like, why put the best pads on here? We're not that great at drivers. All of this, I mean, obviously Ben Dawson was there, and I was running to the front anytime they put me in the car. But everybody else, they were kind of like, we don't need to have the best, finest brake pads or that kind of thing because we're not going to exploit every bit of pace out of them, that sort of thing. Is that sort of what you're hearing?
Au contraire.
It's a combination of, I don't think they understand the difference in performance as big as it is, and I don't think they understand the duration of pad life to dollar.
Yeah,
makes it not that big a difference.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running like Duralast Gold from your AutoZone, you're going to burn through those super fast. You're going to burn through, more sets of those more quickly because you're going to wear them out. They're not designed for that kind of heat. You want a pad that's designed for the kind of heat that you're going to be putting into them with track use. So that's part of it. You want a pad that's just going to fit the specs of what you're going to be doing to them. So that's going to be a higher level of heat. It's not just the heat, but it's the heat that gets soaked in and the duration of the heat into the material. So just different pads are designed for different aspects of use, and so that the heat and the heat soak are a big part of it. There's a lot of stuff about metallic and non-metallic compounds that I don't understand, but that's part of it too. There's a whole lot of wizardry that goes into brakes, and typically you're probably going to end up running what most people around you recommend or say, like, hey, this might be a good balance for your kind of car or something like that. And just a quick general side note, generally you want something grippier is your front compound, a little bit less grippy compound in the rear, unless you just happen to have a brake bias adjuster on your car. You can do a little bit of brake biasing with how you choose your pad compounds. So, so that's just one thing to think about. A lot of people will run the grippiest pad on the front, and then something that's about 2/3 or half as grippy on the back. Just as a side note, you want racing pads because they're going to stop you a lot quicker. They're going to be able to withstand a lot more heat. And they're going to make you faster on track ultimately. So I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to be out there trying to do everything I'm doing well and then have to be on brakes that are crappy. There's, only way that you do like limo stops. I want to stop. I want to stop that car, that race car, like it's a race car. So I,
and I don't really want to hit the brake pad. I mean, hit the brake pedal and not have the brakes do what I want them to do. Because if I'm hitting the brake pedal, I want them to stop me. And
I want that. I want that car to. I want that car to. I want that car to hang me up in the belts and stand on the nose. You know what I mean? So I want to be. I want to be right there. Yeah, I mean, I want to.
You should too.
Have you ever had brakes that were too sticky?
Yeah, and the version we had, we ran a pad compound that was too bitey, had too much bite for the tires that we had. We ran a 200 Strawberry tires. And we ran a pad that we all got used to, but at first we were all locking the tires up. We were running a car with no ABS. We were running my old Miata, and we put ST43s all the way around it, Ray Vestas ST43s, and we were running 200 Strawberry tires, and everybody just went out there. It was like, brrr! Like, it took us a while to learn how to dial it back. But once we got used to the pad, it was okay, and we were able to use the rest of that pad. But we think we moved on to a different set of brakes for the next time. But yeah, you can overdo it with the grippy brakes on the car. So you want to find the right mixture, and there are intermediate steps that you can take. So one of the solutions that we used on the West Coast is they had all heard that. Have you ever heard of legendary Lemons team Eyesore?
Mm-hmm.
So Eyesore Racing was a bunch of Mazda engineers, and they raced this Miata. I think they put a turbo on it, but it was, nothing that fancy. It was mostly just really good driving and really well drilled pit stops. But they had on one of their website, their website they had about the build of their car, they said that they were using Stop Tech 309s, which is kind of an intermediate sport pad more than an endurance racing
track
pad.
day, right?
Yeah, more of a track day pad. But they were saying, hey, we were using these. And so we used several sets of those on our car. And for the most part, they were fine. They didn't overheat. They weren't too bad. They also just weren't the best brakes you could have. But that was something that we used as an intermediate step, and it kind of got us part of the way. There's also things you could do where if you're tracking a car but maybe not doing full endurance stints, you might be able to get away with something like a Hawk HP Plus pad. If that's still around. I'm not even sure if that's still a thing.
Not sure.
But something that's an intermediate, more of a track or autocross pad might get you kind of part of the way there. And those are even pads that people will run on the street. Some you hear people complain that the intermediate pads are noisy or dusty on the street. But I mean, who gives a shit if you're trying to run around? If you're running around in your track day car on the street, you could change. If you change your pads and rotors out, going to and from the track, you are a super nerd. If you're driving around in your track day car with your track day pads, you're also some kind of super nerd. That's also fun. So I wouldn't sweat it either way. But you do want to keep your rotors kind of embedded or impregnated with one kind of compound. You don't want to be switching back from your street brakes onto the same rotors that you're running your track brakes on. So that's something else to think about. You can't just kind of swap pads back and forth. You want to keep pads kind of purely mated to the brake lining or pad material that you're using. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not that you can't. It's that you shouldn't.
You can do whatever the hell you want. But it's not a great idea.
Miss Vicki, what did we miss? Thanks.
Well, no. I get it. I get it. My whole thing. One of my early learning things about the brake pads, especially for beginners that are out there, is that when you're on the track and they have you going through all these through the program, and they tell you when you come off the track, for new drivers, your immediate thought is to just sit on the brakes. Yeah. Don't do that.
Nope.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I learned the hard way early on, again, for new drivers and new track people. If you do that, your brakes are so hot coming off the track that they will actually warp the rotor and
weld to it.
Or weld to it. So, keep that in mind too when you're using your brake systems, and that goes for like any brake when you're tracking in general. And the other thing too to notice that when you're actually working on your car with your brakes and your rotors is that you can actually start to tell, another thing that I learned along the way, So you can tell when your rotors are starting to fail when you start seeing fine line cracks in them.
Yep.
So, you see your rotors that kind of get hardcore worn out. But then there's also, look for the fine line cracks, and that means it's time to change those out and, switch over to something better.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
You ready for the number one tip in brake pads?
What's that?
Yes.
The number one tip is to call up Wendy at Porterfield's.
Yeah, she's good. She's really good.
And say, I have this car and I'm using it for this kind of racing. What do you think I should get?
I've done that, and I've also done this other tip that not everybody knows. I've said, this is at the time we were running Chump Car. And I was like, hey, this is for our Chump Car team. You got any kind of racer discount? She goes, yeah, 15% off.
Oh.
So that's another benefit of calling right up. You might just say, hey, this is for a competition team that we're doing this, and we'd be happy to. I said, I said, throw some stickers in the box. I'd be happy to put them on there. She's like, don't even worry about it. Here's your 15% off. So that's something that's worth talking about, because I had been getting them from some dude in California and paying, full sticker price plus his markup and all this stuff. And then I needed some advice from the factory. So I called, and she's like, oh, you can just order them right now. And I did. And I got a discount. So that was what immediately turned me on to making the call and talking to Wendy.
Yep. And if you care about brake pads and brakes and rotors and everything about that, we had Wendy on, man.
Oh, it was a while ago. It was early
500 episodes, 600 episodes ago. It was.
Let's link that baby in the show notes, because I haven't even heard that one. I'd like to check it out.
That's a good one. I think she came on, and I've tried to get her back on. She's like, but we covered everything, and I'm like, but Wendy, we just like to talk. Don't you know that, man? But she was pretty spectacular, and we hope she'll come back on. But
yeah, that's cool.
We'll see. She knows her stuff. She's been there a while, and it was, you ready for this? Episode 59.
Wow. I knew it was way back.
That was way back. Yeah. So she covers brakes and rotors and everything for racing, and why you want certain things and why you don't want certain things, which is even more important. Like drilled rotors, no.
Slotted, probably not.
Slotted, she was a favor of. She's like, slotted can work. You don't need it like you used to, but drilled is a no go. Except for
you talk about those cheese graters.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I don't know if we've fully answered the question and query you've been getting from your friends who are not fully on board with the necessity of buying race pads. But I think it's worth doing if you're trying to kind of up your game on track and trying to ultimately be somebody who's going to be a racer. Go ahead and start driving and equipping yourself the way the racers do. Is what I did, and it helped me become a better driver in a faster and shorter amount of time. Something else to think about too is for most of us and most of the stuff we drive, rotors themselves are relatively cheap. Yep. I mean, I think I could get Miata rotors for like E30 rotors back in the day for like $13 a piece or something like that. So keep yourself a set of rotors and that goes with your track pads if you're going to be swapping them in and out. But also just don't worry about your rotors. And like Vicki said, if you see little hairline cracks start popping up, go ahead and get new ones. It's not worth waiting around and potentially having a brake pad explode on your, just having some kind of failure with the brakes, because a failure with the brakes will lead to potentially a failure with your whole car or your health.
Yep, for sure. And you are borderline breaking the first rule of racing. Don't skimp on safety.
Are brakes not just a wear item, but a safety item, Bill?
I believe they are. I mean, they do both, but yeah. So anyway, hopefully that helps some of our friends out there, and especially one particular West Coast guy who keeps hiding his head in the sand. But I can go get the good ones, buddy. Anyway.
Yeah, let's do it too.
That's right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great topic. Thanks for having me on that one.
No worries.